I used to think betrayal came with warning signs. A shift in tone. A certain look. Maybe even some dramatic music in the background if life were a movie. But no. Turns out, betrayal comes in the form of your own sister, wearing pearls, smiling across a mahogany table while the family lawyer reads your dead father's will, and you realize every single thing you were promised has vanished. Let me start at the top. My name is Camille. I'm 30, a structural engineer by trade, and I can read blueprints better than I read people, especially blood relatives. Before we continue, please take a few moments to subscribe to this channel. This way, you have contributed immensely to the platform. 3 months ago, I lost my father. A self-made man, generous, but sharp as a whip. He always told me, "Cam, you're the one with the brain. But Lauren? She's the one with the charm. Keep your eyes open." I should have listened harder. Dad and I were close. I was the one who took care of him during his treatments, managed his medications, handled his bills. Lauren? She'd pop in once every 3 weeks with overpriced flowers and filtered selfies for her caring daughter Instagram story. Yet there I sat, 3 weeks after the funeral, in a cold office with oak paneling and dry air, listening to our family attorney, Mr. Halvorsen, read his will. To my daughter Camille, I leave my library collection and my antique map archive. To my daughter Lauren, I leave the family estate and all liquid assets, including the Lakewood accounts. I blinked. I'm sorry, what? Halvorsen cleared his throat. Your father made changes to the will 3 days before his death. Signed and notarized. Lauren was already dabbing her eyes with a handkerchief like she'd just won an Oscar. Daddy always said I had a good eye for real estate. I looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I didn't see my sister. I saw a thief in designer shoes. She had stolen everything. The house I grew up in. The bank accounts. The beachfront property I helped renovate myself. I'd put in hours laying tile with Dad, sealing granite countertops, choosing finishes while she went off to brunch. And now she was reaping the rewards with a pity cry and perfect teeth. But I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't storm out. No. I smiled. Because when an engineer loses their foundation, we don't fall apart. We rebuild, stronger, smarter, and more calculated than ever before. But first, I needed proof. And lucky for me, Lauren has the subtlety of a marching band. A week after the reading of the will, I received an anonymous tip. No name. Just an email with a PDF attachment and a short message. You deserve to know what she did. Inside? Screenshots. Emails. Voicemails. Proof that Lauren coerced Dad into changing the will when he was heavily medicated. She had convinced him I didn't want the estate. That I had plans to liquidate everything for profit. And because he was weak, confused, and scared of conflict, he agreed. It wasn't just betrayal. It was exploitation. And that, my friends, is when I stopped playing fair. But hey, before I take you deeper into this chaos-fueled revenge saga, take 1 second to subscribe to this channel. That way you're not just watching justice unfold, you're helping this community grow, where stories like this shine a spotlight on real pain and powerful comebacks. Let's grow together. Now, back to the fire. I hired a lawyer. A good one. But because the will was legally binding and no one could conclusively prove Dad's mental decline at the moment he signed, the court process was long, expensive, and ugly. And while that dragged on, Lauren moved into the family estate like it was her birthright. She threw garden parties, hired decorators, and even did a full spread in Home and Hearth Weekly showing off her childhood home restored. I nearly choked on my coffee. It wasn't enough for her to steal. She had to perform. To play victim. To look noble while standing on the bones of my dignity. So I made a vow. I wouldn't fight her in court alone. I'd fight her in strategy. If she loved homes so much, dream homes specifically, I would find hers. I would find the one she obsessed over since college. The cliffside modern mansion in Crestwood Heights she always said was her forever place. The one she had pinned to every Pinterest board and mood board and digital vision journal. And I would buy it. Not just buy it. Demolish it. On video. With a wrecking ball. And champagne. You might think I sound unhinged. Maybe I was. But after watching her steal everything I had built with our father, after hearing her call me unstable in a deposition, I realized something. Lauren didn't just want to win. She wanted to erase me. And I don't do erasure. I do blueprints. I do steel beams and concrete. I do vengeance in HD. So I started pulling strings. Cash offer. Off-market. Private broker. Fast escrow. And 3 weeks later, while Lauren was live on Instagram talking about her new poolside furniture back at the estate, I was signing the deed to her dream. The realtor looked confused. You sure you want this? The other buyer, Lauren James, has been obsessed with this place for years. I smiled. That's why I want it. No smile back. Just a pen sliding across the table. I signed. She had no idea. But she would soon. The sound of glass clinking echoed in the background of her Instagram live. Celebrating new beginnings. Lauren chirped, draped in a blush pink wrap dress that screamed innocent and inherited at the same time. The garden of my father's estate, my estate, was twinkling with fairy lights and fake smiles. The caption read, "Honoring Dad's legacy in the home he loved #family first #grateful heart." Grateful? The only thing she was grateful for was my silence. I sat at my penthouse apartment, phone in hand, watching her flit through the party with a champagne flute like she hadn't committed emotional arson. Her voice giggled from the speakers. "Oh, everyone say hi to my followers. This is the rose garden we replanted. Daddy loved roses, remember Camille?" The camera panned to a bush I planted myself the summer after college. I nearly cracked my wine glass. But I didn't rage. I opened my laptop. Pulled up the live demolition feed from the contractor's drone. Yes. I hired a drone crew. Because if I was going to destroy her fantasy, I wanted it filmed from every possible angle. 2 hours earlier, I had signed off on final permits to level the Crestwood Heights mansion, her dream home. A clean, $4.2 million purchase. Paid in full. Under an alias, of course. The demolition crew didn't know the backstory. Just that a woman named Cam Industries wanted it gone. No salvaging. No renovations. No compromises. When the first beam cracked under the hydraulic claw, I felt it in my soul. Meanwhile, back at Lauren's Garden of Delusion, she was handing out custom cupcakes with edible photos of Dad's face. "So blessed," she cooed. "We were always such a close family." "Close enough for you to push me out of it and slam the door, huh?" I clicked record. The drone panned over the Crestwood cliffside view, just as the steel support columns of her would-be master bedroom were ripped from the foundation. The building groaned like a dying villain in an action film. The living room, where she once said she'd host her engagement party, crumbled like burnt toast. "One beam at a time," I whispered to myself. But that wasn't the climax. That came the following morning, when I dropped a carefully edited 30-second teaser clip on a burner TikTok account I made just for this moment. No face. No name. Just the title. "This is what happens when you steal what wasn't yours." The video? Split screen. Left side, Lauren's Instagram live, smiling in front of rose bushes, cheers NG her stolen wealth. Right side, the real-time demolition of the Crestwood mansion. Bricks crashing. Walls falling. Overlaid with a piano track that would make Hans Zimmer weep. I uploaded it and waited. It went viral in 3 hours. By morning, it had 3.7 million views. The comments? Not her losing her dream house and the moral high ground. This is revenge architecture. Whoever did this deserves a crown and a Netflix deal. Imagine laughing in stolen property while your dream burns down. Iconic. At HGTV pick her up. And Lauren? Oh, she was unraveling. She posted a tearful video 2 days later. "I don't know who did this, but someone destroyed my future home. I had plans. I worked hard. I snorted so loud I scared my dog. Worked hard? She worked hard manipulating a dying man. She worked hard lying to a lawyer. She worked hard posting photos of my work, my history, my legacy, and calling it hers. So yeah, I tore hers down. 1 stone for every tear I didn't shed in that lawyer's office. And now? Now she was panicking. She launched a private investigation to find out who the buyer was. Unfortunately for her, Cam Industries was a holding company registered in a trust located somewhere in the Cayman Islands, run by a board of no-names, sign through layers of shells. Let her chase ghosts. I had blueprints to burn. Meanwhile, the viral video kept climbing. I got messages from strangers. This video healed me. I've been betrayed by family too. Thank you. I hope whoever made this sleeps well. I know I did. But the best message? A DM from Lauren's ex. Yep. Ethan. Mr. Investment Banker with a yacht and enough tea to scald her name into the pavement. I don't know who you are, but this video is everything. If Lauren did to you what she did to me, I salute you. To which I replied, she probably did. Tell me everything. We met that weekend. Let's just say, karma makes a great cocktail companion. But I didn't do this to be famous. I did it because I refused to be the quiet one. The one who takes the hit and smiles through it. The one who keeps the peace while getting buried alive in someone else's storyline. Lauren wanted to steal my future? I bought hers and fed it to bulldozers. And now that the world was watching, she had nowhere to hide. The video was titled, Sister Sabotage, Influencer's Dream Home Destroyed by Jealous Sibling? It had a thumbnail of Lauren crying in front of a pile of rubble I paid for. With the caption, my sister's sick revenge nearly broke me crying face #family betrayal #healing journey. I watched the clip over coffee and didn't even blink. There she was, full performance mode, sitting in a blush pink chair, again with the blush, hair curled just right, tissues perfectly placed on her lap. The setup looked like a talk show, but worse, because she'd filmed it herself and posted it everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, even Facebook for the aunties. My sister Camille has always been complicated, she began, her voice trembling like a Dollar Tree wind chime. After Dad passed, things got tense. But I never expected she'd go this far. Cue the dramatic montage. Still images of the demolished Crestwood mansion, paired with sad piano music, voiceovers of Lauren talking about dreams shattered, love turned to jealousy, and the darkness inside some people. If you didn't know better, you'd think I personally drove the bulldozer through her closet. And the kicker? She claimed she had no idea who bought the property. But that she just had a gut feeling it was me. A woman knows, she said. Right. A woman also knows how to manipulate an audience, and Lauren had mastered it like a TikTok-trained cult leader. Within hours, news outlets picked it up. Local blogs ran with it. Some even quoted her verbatim. I started getting DMs from people I didn't know. Did you really do it? That's savage. I hope it's not true. That's your sister. This is disgusting. Family is sacred. Please. These people didn't know sacred from self-serving. But the attention wasn't all bad. Because for every clueless commenter sending me hate, 10 others were saying, if this is true, I wanna buy Camille a drink. Can we get a full documentary? Netflix, where you at? I'd demolish it again, girl. Don't let up. And while Lauren's pity parade gained momentum, I didn't respond. At first. Why? Because the best clapbacks are timed. See, I had been preparing something behind the scenes. Something she never saw coming. Let me explain. While Lauren was fake crying on camera, my lawyer finally secured something useful, a leak. A former employee of Halvorson's law office, yes, the same one that read Dad's will, came forward with proof that Lauren had used her own private notary, one with a questionable license, to push through the last-minute changes to Dad's estate documents. And guess what? The notary? Her boyfriend at the time. Sloppy. Predictable. Traceable. Even better? Lauren's Instagram live from that same week showed her in Cabo with him, on the exact day she claimed the signing happened in person at their father's bedside. Busted. And I wasn't going to keep it private. I went live. My first and only public statement on the matter. Title: Since she wants the internet involved, let's involve the facts. It opened with me seated calmly, sipping coffee, wearing all black like a widow at a truth funeral. Hi. I wasn't going to say anything. Because sometimes, healing quietly is louder than screaming. But when you try to rewrite history while sitting on a pile of lies, I feel obligated to bring receipts. Boom. Slide 1, the will, highlighted. Slide 2, timestamps on Lauren's Instagram stories from Cabo. Slide 3, A clip of the notary also liking bikini photos from the trip that same day. Hard to notarize someone's final wishes when you're 2 margaritas deep in a different time zone, right? The comment section exploded. OMG, she got the receipts. Not her using vacation hours to commit fraud skull. This just became a courtroom drama and I need popcorn. Camille, 3 Lauren, negative infinity. But I wasn't done. I played a voicemail Lauren left me 2 years ago, one she forgot existed, where she said, "You know Dad's probably leaving you everything, right? You always get the good stuff." Oh, I smiled, pausing the recording. But I'm the jealous one, right? The live hit 1.2 million views in under 24 hours. Her camp panicked. The next day, Lauren released a clarification post. It was 6 paragraphs of fluff that essentially boiled down to, "I may have made mistakes, but Camille is still emotionally unstable and toxic." Typical. They always call you unstable when you refuse to be manipulated. But the legal tides were turning. My lawyer filed a motion to contest the will. With the new evidence, we had a strong case, not just to reverse the estate's terms, but to press for criminal charges for fraudulent notarization. And just like that, Lauren went quiet. Publicly, she smiled and continued posting affirmations like healing isn't linear, and the truth always wins. But privately, her lawyers reached out with a settlement offer. Want to know what they proposed? Camille relinquishes all claims to the estate, agrees to a public statement of reconciliation, and in exchange, Lauren pays her $100,000. 100,000. For silence. I nearly threw my phone out the window. Instead, I replied, "Here's my counter, I take the house, the accounts, and you go back to brunch." Radio silence. She had miscalculated me. Again. She thought I cared about money. No. I cared about justice. About my father's name. About my story not being swallowed by her fake crying and Instagram filters. So I kept pushing. And my audience? They weren't going anywhere. Petitions started forming. Podcasts wanted interviews. Journalists requested quotes. A docuseries pitch landed in my inbox with a 7-figure offer. And every time Lauren tried to speak, people flooded her comments. "Camille already told the truth. We're not buying your fantasy. You demolished her life. She just leveled the ground. Apologize and log off." Funny how fast public favor flips when you try to destroy someone who learned to build from ruins. You can dress betrayal in silk and diamonds, but eventually it has to show up in court, wearing heels and lies under oath. The hearing for Walker versus Walker was scheduled on a stormy Thursday, poetic enough to make Shakespeare roll over in his grave. It wasn't criminal yet, but this civil challenge to contest the will had enough weight to rip our entire family history open in front of a judge, 3 lawyers, and a gallery full of spectators pretending to check their email while eavesdropping. I arrived in a sharp navy suit. Hair up. Heels clicking like war drums across the courtroom floor. "Lauren?" She entered looking like a grieving saint in pearls and powder, clutching her knockoff Chanel handbag like it held her last shred of credibility. She refused to make eye contact. That was fine. She wouldn't be able to hold it for long once the spotlight shifted. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s named Richardson, opened the proceedings. "We are here to address the validity of the amended last will and testament of Mr. Daniel Walker and review evidence presented by the plaintiff, Ms. Camille Walker, who alleges undue influence and procedural fraud." That's me. Plaintiff. Defender of legacy. Engineer of revenge. My attorney, Mason, stood tall, his voice calm. "Your Honor, our case is simple. The defendant altered a legal will under suspicious timing and circumstances using a notary who, until very recently, was in a romantic relationship with her. We will present concrete evidence of this relationship, their whereabouts at the time of the signing, and third-party testimony verifying Mr. Walker's impaired mental condition during the alleged amendment." Lauren's attorney scoffed. "Your Honor, the only thing suspicious is Ms. Camille's attempt to rewrite her late father's wishes out of jealousy and spite." Jealousy. The most overused defense in betrayal history. The court reviewed the travel records. Lauren and her ex-boyfriend/notary were indeed in Mexico the same week the will was updated. Mason displayed Lauren's Instagram stories from Cabo. We even pulled geolocation metadata from the photos. But the biggest hit? The voicemail from Lauren herself, saying you always get the good stuff, complete with date and timestamp. I watched Lauren's face tighten like a wire. Still, the judge was cautious. Circumstantial evidence could cast doubt, but it wasn't a smoking gun. Then Mason turned and dropped our final move. Your Honor, the plaintiff would like to call a surprise witness, previously unknown to the defense. Gasps. Murmurs. Even the court reporter paused typing. The back doors opened, and in walked a man in a grey suit, mid-50s, salt and pepper beard, and a walking stick. He moved slowly but with purpose. Lauren's mouth dropped. Mr. Elliot Barnes, Mason announced, longtime friend and personal physician to the late Mr. Daniel Walker. Lauren hissed under her breath. He's supposed to be dead. I smiled. Guess someone else didn't get the memo. Dr. Barnes took the stand and raised his hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do, he replied, his voice low but steady. He then proceeded to deliver the final blow. I saw Daniel Walker 2 days before that will was amended. He was disoriented, couldn't recognize my face, and was hallucinating. He'd forgotten what year it was. I told him, and I documented this, that he was in no condition to make legal decisions. I even called his daughter Camille to inform her. Did you see him sign anything? No. And if he had, I'd consider it medically invalid. Mason nodded. Your Honor, we have copies of Dr. Barnes's medical notes, including timestamps and video recordings of his final visits. It was over. The judge adjourned the day for review. I stepped outside into the hallway as Lauren stormed past me, her face twisted with fury. You just couldn't let it go, could you? No, I replied, because some of us were raised with a conscience. She stepped closer. You think you've won? No, I said. I built the win. Brick by brick. Just like Dad taught me. That night, I didn't celebrate. I didn't post. I didn't even check the comments on the live stream recaps going viral again. I just sat with the silence. The kind that comes after a storm, when the world resets itself, cleaner, quieter. 3 days later, the judge issued her decision. Based on new medical testimony, inconsistencies in the will's notarization, and compelling evidence of undue influence, the court hereby nullifies the amendment to Mr. Daniel Walker's will. The estate is to be distributed according to the original version, granting full rights and ownership to Ms. Camille Walker. Lauren's assets were frozen. The estate was restored to me. And she? She fled the courtroom like a meme waiting to happen. And I walked out slower. Proudly. Like I had waited my whole life to take back what was always mine. But this wasn't just about money. Or even justice. This was about restoration. Dad's memory. My name. My story. I didn't just demolish her house. I rebuilt mine. It started with a flyer. A cheap, crumpled little printout that someone shoved into my mailbox. Just white paper and blocky font. Walker Family Reunion, hosted by Lauren James, née Walker. Forgiveness. Restoration. Truth. Location, the Crescent Banquet Hall. Date, Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. sharp. I nearly dropped my coffee. Forgiveness? Restoration? Truth? Lauren wouldn't know the truth if it power walked up and slapped her with a deposition. She was back. Not just online, but on stage. Literally. Hosting a healing dinner meant to bring the family back together and correct the public narrative. It was a PR stunt in pearls. But worse than that, it was bait. I knew she'd try something like this. Her house was gone. The estate had been restored to me. The lawsuit damaged her brand. Her influencer sponsorships dried up faster than her fake tears. So now she was trying to claw her way back by performing forgiveness in front of cousins, family friends, and local bloggers. I RSVP'd as Anonymous +1. I had no intention of giving her control of the story again, but I was absolutely going to control the ending. Saturday night arrived. I walked into the Crescent Banquet Hall in a floor-length emerald green dress that screamed, "You can't erase me, I own the chapter now." The place was decked out in pastel linens and flickering centerpieces. It reeked of curated vulnerability. Lauren stood at the front, hair curled, face glowing with highlighter and desperation. She smiled when she saw me. "You came." I tilted my head. "You did invite the toxic sibling, didn't you?" She chuckled nervously. "Let's be better. For Dad." For Dad. The way she weaponized that man's name could make a therapist retire. Dinner was served. Awkward chatter filled the space between bites of overpriced salmon. And then, as if on cue, Lauren stepped up to a podium with a microphone in hand. "Family," she began, "thank you all for being here. I've made mistakes. I've hurt people. But I'm still proud of the woman I'm becoming." Cue sniffles from Aunt Jeannie. Eye rolls from Cousin Dev. "I invited Camille here tonight," she continued, "because I wanted to show her, and all of you, that family matters more than pride. That we can let go of the pain and step into love." Then she turned to me. "Camille, will you join me up here?" The room turned. I stood. Walked slowly. Took the mic from her, hand steady, smile calm. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you, Lauren, for finally admitting there was pain." She beamed, thinking this was her comeback arc. "But since we're all here," I continued, "and since truth was the theme of the evening, I'd like to show you all something." The room hushed. I tapped my phone. A projector clicked on behind me. And then, video. Footage from court. Lauren's ex, notary boyfriend, under oath, admitting the notarization was a favor for someone he cared about. Footage of Lauren in Cabo, smiling for selfies the same day she claimed to be with Dad. The judge's ruling, read aloud on screen. And finally, clips of the demolished Crestwood house, paired with her original Pinterest board of dream home goals. I turned to the room. I didn't demolish a house because I was angry. I demolished a symbol. Of lies. Of manipulation. Of someone trying to erase me from my own family. Gasps. Whispers. Lauren's face was frozen. Pale. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. "I didn't come here for closure," I said, voice firm. "I came here to make sure no one else rewrites the story that I lived through." Applause. Not all at once, but scattered, then growing. And then a voice from the back, "Girl, give her a mic drop and go home." I handed the microphone back to Lauren and simply said, "You wanted a stage. I gave you one." Then I walked out. But it didn't end there. Someone had streamed the whole thing. The clip? Titled, "Camille Walker Destroys Her Sister's Redemption Arc in 4K. Over 8 million views in 48 hours. It hit YouTube trending. News sites picked it up. Hashtag Camille mic drop trended for a full day. Even a late-night host made a joke about it. Lauren threw a forgiveness banquet and got served legal receipts with dessert. My inbox exploded. Brand deals. Book publishers. One documentary studio even said, "We'll option it now or someone else will." But I didn't say yes to everything. Because by now, I had learned the difference between speaking up and selling out. Lauren went quiet. Again. Her last Instagram post. "Sometimes the people you hurt the most are the ones who teach you who you are." Taking time to heal offline. Translation: I lost the war I started, and now I'm ducking. And me? I kept building. Not just my platform, but my future. I took Dad's estate and transformed it into a non-profit mentorship center for young women in architecture and engineering. Called it the Foundation. Because revenge fades. But legacy? That sticks. And every time I walk past the framed photo of me and Dad in the library, I hear his voice. Build strong. Build smart. And never let someone else pour your foundation. I didn't. Not then. Not now. It's strange how healing doesn't come with fireworks. There's no choir singing. No cinematic montage. No glittering the end sliding across your vision. Healing comes in moments so small, so still, that you almost miss them. Like walking into your kitchen and realizing your shoulders aren't tense anymore. Or opening a letter with your name and seeing it addressed as founder and director the foundation. Or waking up to sunshine and not checking social media for damage control. It took months, but eventually the noise faded. The gossip, the viral buzz, the petitions, the parody tweets, all of it slowed, dissolved into the digital background of a world constantly looking for its next scandal. But I stayed. I stayed in the truth. And I built in the silence. After the public meltdown at Lauren's forgiveness banquet, she fell off the radar completely. Last I heard, she was living somewhere outside the city, working on some kind of spiritual reset. Translation: she couldn't afford the PR team anymore. I didn't speak to her again. Not because I hated her. Because I didn't owe her anything. Not access. Not updates. Not even closure. You don't owe the people who wronged you a seat at your peace. You build that peace. You guard it. And I did. The estate, formerly Walker House, became the foundation. Dad's old study was converted into a scholarship application center. His sunroom, which Lauren once used for vanity photo shoots, became a blueprint lab where young girls learn how to build tiny homes out of recycled materials. And the rose garden? I left it untouched. Not for Lauren. For him. I visit it every Sunday morning with coffee and no phone. I sit there, watching petals open like soft little declarations of life moving forward. One morning, about a year after the dust settled, I got a letter. Not an email. A real letter. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a folded photo and a short message. I know I can never undo what I did. But I hope one day, when you look back, you'll remember the parts of me that were good. I'm sorry, Cam. Truly. L. I stared at it for a while. The photo was from when we were kids. Both of us on a swing set, hair tangled, smiling like the world hadn't touched us yet. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just folded it back up and placed it in a drawer labeled past. And that's where it stayed. Because Lauren will always be a part of my story. But she no longer gets to write in it. A few weeks later, I gave a TEDx talk. Yeah, weird, I never pictured myself behind a red on a black stage with an auditorium of strangers watching my face on a jumbo screen. But the theme was structure after chaos, and somehow, I was the keynote. The moment I walked on stage, a silence fell that wasn't awkward, it was expectant. Like everyone already knew a storm had passed and was waiting to hear what was left standing. I began. Sometimes, your foundation doesn't crumble. It gets stolen. Piece by piece, by the people you least expect. And when that happens, you have two options: live inside the wreckage, or draw new plans. The applause after that line? Electric. I didn't talk about the lawsuit. Or the inheritance. Or the house. I talked about rebuilding. About identity. About learning not to chase peace through silence, but through action. You are not bitter for protecting your boundaries. You are not dramatic for confronting your past. And you are not wrong for rebuilding somewhere you were once burned. The speech went viral. But for once, not for drama. For hope. And that's how I knew I'd won. Not when I got the house back. Not when I dropped the drone video. Not even when I exposed her lies in court. I won when the version of me she tried to erase stood on a stage and told a crowd. I didn't demolish her dream house to hurt her. I demolished it because it wasn't hers to begin with. It was built on my silence, and I'm done being quiet. The standing ovation that followed wasn't just for a story. It was for survival. Today, I don't just live in a house I earned. I live in the life I designed. I travel. I mentor. I write. Sometimes I still get recognized in cafes. Hey, aren't you the girl who demolished that house? And I smile. Yeah, but that's not the story. The story is what I built after. Because revenge is one thing. But rising? That's the real legacy.